Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back today, and we're going to be talking about again gun rights, gun control, etc., and how everything's going down. And I'll try to go into more depth because I don't think a lot of people know, and I looked this up. For the most part, I don't. Granted, they pass it, but I may believe it won't have very much merit because it has to pass the Senate anyways. But I'll kind of go a little bit more in depth into it once we get into the article. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Breaking. U.S. House to vote on Protecting Arcades Act gun control legislation. Among other measures, the bill would prohibit the sale of certain semi-automatic rifles to anyone under 21 years old. The United States House of Representatives is debating, and this evening will hold a vote on H.R. 719 sweeping gun control legislation that goes beyond simply raising the minimum age to purchase a firearm. The bill is sponsored by Jerry Nadler, obviously a Democrat, and is tied to 9 other House resolutions aimed at curtailing gun access. Passage of H.R. 7919, which we'll go over, by the way, guys, would prohibit the sale of certain automatic rifles and shotguns to a person under the age of 21. Currently, the minimum age to own such weapon is 18. The law would apply to rifles that can accept magazines or feeding devices with more than 5 rounds. The bill would exempt members of the armed forces who are on active duty, as well as full-time employees of the U.S. government, a state or political subdivision of a state who in the course of their official duties is authorized to carry a firearm. Notice this here. The bill would exempt members of the armed forces who are on active duty as well as full-time employees of the U.S. government, a state or political subdivision of a state who in the course of their official duties is authorized to carry a firearm. Notice this one paragraph here. This one paragraph should concern you because notice that it says the government and armed forces, etc., which means they're actively, they could have control once they put more restrictions into place. The proposed legislation would also criminalize 3D printed guns along with partially finished non-serialized low receivers, which I think is very, very low in order. I don't think there's a lot of 3D printed guns being made, to be honest with you. H.R. 719 also seeks to regulate the storage of firearms within homes and imposes fines of $500 per violation and the possibility of forfeiture of seizure of firearms and 4 violations. Okay, this is a huge problem. The Attorney General would be responsible for determining appropriate methods for firearm storage and would regulate businesses, vehicles, private homes, off-site storage, as well as any other such place the Attorney General seems appropriate. Would also require firearm manufacturers that serialize more than 250 firearms a year provide a written notice which each manufacturer or imported handgun, rifle, or shotgun that says safe storage saves flies, followed by the address of the public website established by the Attorney General pursuant to section. The legislation has election of the Protecting Arcades Act. The legislation also contains a provision codifying a ban on bump stocks and any part or combination of parts that is designed and functions to limit the need for the operator of semi-automatic weapon to make a separate movement for each individual function of the trigger, meaning binary triggers would also be criminalized. Under H.R. 719, it would be illegal to import, sell, manufacture, and transfer or possess any magazine that accepts more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Standard capacity for commonly used AR-15 semi-automatic rifles is 30 rounds. Alright, so I'm going to go over this very briefly with you guys. So what they're saying is it's still under review, but it's pretty much being saying that they want to pass this. And essentially what this is going on is that it doesn't necessarily, the House may have passed, but they have to also, the Senate, I may believe, also has to pass as well. So what we'll go here is, it was introduced, and then the latest action was 608, motion to reconsider later on table agreed to objection, so we get to see all the actions here. So all these are the actions. We'll go over all this stuff because it's kind of important here. So, first off, this is the guy that we should be talking about. Again, he's a Democrat. So, let's make sure that everybody knows that this guy's a Democrat. Obviously a Democrat. He is from New York. So, that's another red flag there. So, he's the only one proposing this. And so, if we go to specifically here, a committee meeting 602. This was before. reports, and then latest action. We'll go for all the latest action and current votes because it's kind of important here. So we'll do this, and then we'll do all the actions here. So first off, it's the bill will be this here. Don't need to worry too much about this. This is table of contents. Raise the age. This is ridiculous. So would you prevent gun trafficking? This won't prevent gun trafficking at all. Period. People are gonna get guns illegally. Here's the thing. They try to put this in the bill by trying to trick you people or try to tell you guys like, oh, it's gonna prevent gun trafficking. It won't. How does it prevent somebody from buying an actual gun illegally or getting a gun illegally? So it doesn't stop gun trafficking at all. All right, it just doesn't happen. It is unlawful. Gun trafficking's already been unlawful, so I don't know what they're doing. They're putting a law on top of another law that is already that's already in place. You can't just traffic guns. Essentially, it's illegal and it's considered called the black market. You can't really do it. That's against the law. Prohibition of distribution of firearm to person intending unlawful further disposition. And then penalties. Which would be whoever knowing violates section shall be under this title imprisoned for more than 10 years or both. Requirement that all firearms be traceable. That I wouldn't mind. This I don't mind actually all that much because you just trace guns. If somebody has a counterpoint to this and try to want to jump on and we could do a little talking here, then yeah, we can arrange something and kind of see what this would be mostly amended, mostly what it would mean. I think it's okay because that means you just track people that have the gun illegally, but I can see how it could be used for nefarious reasons too. So, and I think then modernization of prohibition of undetectable firearms, which would seem like it would be very similar to the one that we currently already have. And then Ethan's Law, which is storage. Again, safe storage. Most people have safe storage of their firearms. I wouldn't see why you would be like you would have to have a safe. Our family has a safe for our guns, so I don't see how that's be a thing. And then actions here on passed by the yeas and nays. On motion to recommit failed by the yeas and nays. On retaining the title agreed to by the yeas and nays, and then on retaining the title agreed to by the yeas and nays. Title 5 agreed to by the yeas and nays. Title 6, and then of course all of this stuff. So these are all the actions here that we see. So now the debate here is the House proceeded within 2 hours of debate. Rules provides for consideration of H.R. 2377 and H.R. 719 provides for 1 hour debate on H.R. 2037, 2 hours of debate on 719. Also provides a motion to recommit each measure considered under the provisions of the rule. Rule 1153 passed House. Rules of Committee Resolution 1153 reported to House. Rule provided for consideration 2327 and 719 provides for 1 hour debate when 2 hours of debate on supplies of motion to recommit. Placed on the Union calendar. Committee on Ways of Means Discharge reported by the Committee Judiciary, ordered by the reported of yeas and nays. So refers to the committee by Judiciary and the Committee Ways means for a period to be subjectively determined by the Speaker in cases for consideration of such provisions as fall within the jurisdiction of the committee concerned. And introduced in House 531 to 531. So these are all the things that are kind of going on here. This was started introduced at 531:22. So all this stuff is here. So this will be more recent. Motion to reconsider laid on the table agreed to without objection. So this passed on the House, but it has not passed on the actual. This has not passed on specifically the what we would call the Senate. So they would have to essentially pass this on the Senate. as which hasn't been done yet. So that being said, it would have to pass on the Senate for I think for it to really take law. I would like to actually talk to Rekieta Law on something about this and get more of a kind of like an idea. But again, it's passed the House, but it hasn't passed the Senate. So if it hasn't passed the Senate, which I may believe to the president will have to decline, or the president would agree or decline. Obviously, Joe Biden is going to agree to it, but it has to pass the Senate. And if it doesn't pass the Senate, it does not become law. So that's essentially what it would be. But I would like to actually talk to Nick Rekieta about this specifically on how all the operation works. So for what I'm getting from the actual on how the House says is that they have the ability to they have the ability to kind of start with legislator. They could do kind of like veto some things as well. House, which we go here. If you do on the House power here, they have the ability to, including the power to initiate revenue bills, impeach federal officials, elect the president in the case of an electoral college tie. The Senate is composed of 100 senators, 2 for each state. So that's essentially what they do. They can't, from what I gather, they cannot actually approve of. It can pass the House, but it has to pass the Senate, and then it has goes with all the other kind of motions to actually do its stuff. So I wouldn't say not worry, because obviously worry because it's full of Democrats, right, with the Senate. But I think it would have to pass the Senate and do it because this is horribly unconstitutional in a lot of ways. But I don't think it's going to pass in the Senate. But again, be worried, guys. Always be worried. So that's it for this video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.